Smarties, today we are talking about how weaker executive functioning skills can lead to challenges while making decisions. In episode 274, The Silent Suffering of Problem Solving, we addressed what we mean when we talk about problem solving and why it's so important. In this episode, we are further going into this idea and we are talking about why decision making is often very emotional and difficult for learners who have weaker executive functioning skills and what they can do about it. If you are interested in having your learner have these kinds of conversations with an educational therapist, or you're interested in having these types of conversations and support from an educational therapist, do not hesitate to sign up for a phone call. My practice is Kapp Educational Therapy Group, and you can sign up for a phone call at www.kappedtherapy.com. We specialize in learners 5th grade through adulthood with executive functioning skills challenges. Steph's practice is M.Ed Therapist, and her website is www.myedtherapist.com. You can sign up for a phone call on her website as well. And her practice does all the things, including learners who struggle with executive functioning skills challenges. We both work with learners locally and nationally in both practices. So don't let your location be a stopgap for you. Also, we haven't asked it for a while, but it really does mean a lot to us when you leave a 5-star review and you write a little something about how the podcast has either helped or supported you or your family. Please go ahead and leave a 5-star review. We read them and it really does mean a lot to us. Let's dig in.
You want to learn faster, but sometimes working harder is just not the answer. You have to learn smarter. The Educational Therapy Podcast.
Hi, Smarties. Welcome to episode 319 of Learn Smarter, the Educational Therapy Podcast. I'm Stephanie Pitts.
And I'm Rachel Kapp.
And today we are talking about decision-making and executive functioning skills.
All right, let's dig into it. In this episode, we're going to kind of break our ideas down into 2 different kind of themes, which is my specialty of like being like, okay, this is the order. We're going to talk about why decision-making is so impacted by weak executive functioning skills challenges. And then we're going to talk about what you can do about it.
Okay, so the why. Decision making. There is a huge fear of making a mistake or doing it differently than somebody else.
Yeah.
That can cause some serious paralysis. And then therefore no decision is made at all.
You just avoid it entirely. This can be a real reason why learners don't initiate a task.
Oh, for sure.
It's because they can't even make a decision about what topic, for example, they want to do something. So let's say they have to make slides and they have to pick a topic. That enough is there's options and they want to pick the right one and they have a fear of making a mistake. And then they also have prior experience making mistakes. Mm-hmm. So they just have complete paralysis around it and they don't do anything. Or they make a decision, they get 75% of the project done and then decide they're going to switch topics. So that is a major component of this. What else, Steph?
Not having a plan. Not having a plan at all causes it to be really hard to make a decision. And, you know, I see this a lot. There's a certain game that I play with kids. It's where you move the tiles and copy. It's like a little puzzle and we race. It's called Rubik's Race, one of them. There's 2 different versions of it, but that's one of the games. And I always play with the kids and just tell them to go. And I beat them before they even have 1 row of colors.
And that's because you probably have a plan of going top to bottom.
100%. And left to right.
Yeah.
So after they look at me shocked that I have beat them by so much time and they haven't even gotten past the first row, I say, what was your plan? And they look at me like I am speaking a different language. Like I didn't even know I was supposed to have a plan. And I was like, okay, I do this all the time. Let's make a plan. What makes sense? And now that you've made the plan, right? The plan being go top to bottom, left to right. Let's try using your plan and see how it goes. Well, now they're much more in the race and sometimes they beat me. Most of the time not. But
if you haven't signed up for an email, go ahead and sign up on our website, www.learnsmarterpodcast.com. Why don't we put both games? We'll give you links for both games in the email for this episode.
Okay. Yeah. I'll take a picture today.
Sounds good. Smarties, the next reason why decision-making paralysis can really come into play is fatigue. And this, as a mom, is something that I really experience of like, sometimes we need to have a plan for what we're having for dinner, because by the time 4:30 rolls around and I need to start making dinner, I have no juice going towards my decision making, which reminds me, I'm going to have Adam defrost some chicken right now. I'm sending him a text. Guys, we're having chicken for dinner tonight, okay?
I'm having chicken too. I try to pull out the stuff to defrost when I'm making current dinner for tomorrow dinner. That's how I do it.
Great strategy, Steph. Okay, I like it. And you know what? Maybe we'll have salsa chicken tonight, Steph.
Oh, I do love a salsa chicken.
Yeah, so if you'd like to make salsa chicken, what you do is you put the chicken breast in the Instant Pot.
Yeah, and it can be frozen.
I don't like it frozen. I like it to be defrosted because then it sticks together and then like...
I understand, but in a pinch, it'll work.
In a pinch, you can make it work. And then you just dump the salsa on top and set it for like 8 minutes. And then what I like to do, because I like to make extra dishes dirty, is I'll throw it in my standing mixer and it'll shred the chicken.
Yeah.
Love. Thank you, Instagram, for teaching me a shortcut that creates more dishes for Adam to wash. But I don't want to go there with a fork. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Now that we have the strategy for planning dinner, Steph and I will at some point figure out a strategy for laundry, but I really think that solution is just going to be buying more clothes. If you've been a long-time listener of the podcast, you know we both hate doing laundry. We don't hate doing the laundry part. We hate the putting away of the laundry.
The putting away.
Yeah. Okay, so what are the other ways that decision-making is impacted by weak EF skills?
Well, like we've talked about, there's the planning and prioritizing. So what do you need to do when and how important is it, right? If you only have so much juice or so much gas in your gas tank and you're using it for things that don't matter right now, then you're wasting gas. And so you need to make sure that you are focusing on the things that are important, and knowing what's important is part of the decision making. So that is hard in itself for a lot of people. So that's definitely a skill that needs to be practiced. But then the other thing is sometimes we overcomplicate things and overcomplicate decisions.
Yep.
As Rachel likes to say, you're torturing yourself with this decision. That happens to me. It happens to her. And we both tell each other that when we're doing it.
And sometimes we say it about ourselves, like,
100%.
Hey, this is what's going on. I'm torturing myself over it. And the other person is just like, just do it. Which is just what happened yesterday, right? I needed a new laptop.
Yep.
We've talked about it multiple times. It's a lot of money. I didn't want to pull the trigger. And finally yesterday I was like, Steph, I need to buy the new laptop.
Yeah, because yours is not working.
I know. You
can't live like that anymore.
No, I can't. And then I even complimented myself yesterday, remember?
Yes,
I was like,
did.
I can't believe how quickly I did that without having it hawing. And you're like, oh, we've already been hot for weeks about this. Like,
it's facts, guys.
yeah.
So here's the thing. Let's use your laptop as an example, because there are so many decisions on buying that laptop, on exactly what model, how many of this to get, how many of that to get.
Yeah.
That slowed down the process that we've already been having this conversation for several weeks.
And let me be clear. I don't make any of those decisions. You just tell me.
I know. But even so, it became overwhelming.
It's a lot. Yeah. And it's like, I want you to be on FaceTime with me or on...
I know, and I couldn't, and yeah, I know.
Because what I like to do, I like to share my screen and just have you tell me what to click. And so you'd like sent me a screenshot, and then I sent you a screenshot back. I'm like, is this right? And like, it's a big purchase. Okay. So like, again, my decision paralysis around that was I had a fear of making a mistake because it's a lot of money to make a mistake on.
100%. But then I just told her to get exactly what I got. So that worked.
Yep. You didn't have to think about it. You had already made the decision, which is coming up in our what do you do about this?
Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's talk about that. What do you do?
Well, you got to minimize your decision making. So you have to make simple decisions along the way. Where do things live? okay, I'm deciding this lives here and now it's going to live here forever. You have to know your rules about things. So Steph just shared one of her rules about making dinner. She takes out the next night's dinner while she's making the current night. Genius. Simple. Now I have a new rule that's easy for me to maintain, and then everybody in the family can sort of know what's coming up, which will help.
Yeah.
You make those rules along the way, and sometimes you cannot do this in isolation.
No.
It is very difficult to like sort of do these things alone and without that partnership with either a partner, the one that you and I have, a friend, or an educational therapist. So this can really help make life simpler, is to have someone come in and either identify the rule that you've already established, but you haven't like crystallized it.
Yeah.
So did you know that that was a rule for you, that you're going to defrost the next night's dinner at the time?
Been a couple of times where I've had to like go buy some sort of protein because I didn't defrost it in time. And so then I was like, I really need to make this a routine. And when am I thinking about food? When I'm cooking. So I say, okay, so what should we have for dinner tomorrow? And then I pull it out, and that has been working phenomenally well. So it just,
You just never told me.
I just never told you. It just sort of like happened.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like, it's very difficult to like, now that you have verbalized it, it becomes even more of a rule. And you can also teach other people, this is the rule. So other people in your household can help remind you, hey, we need to make a decision about dinner tomorrow because this is when we make the decision about dinner.
I have enough energy when I'm cooking to think about, okay, tomorrow I have these ingredients because I'm like looking at them. So I know this is what I'll make tomorrow.
Awesome. So it's setting up those routines. It's having those small wins. And for me, having the small win about, hey, we're going to decide dinner tomorrow night, I can also mobilize the team around that and making sure we have what we need in the house.
Yeah.
And then, because I have to tell you, like a week meal plan, my sister-in-law does that. And she'll sit and be like, okay, this is what we're having every night. So we need,
I can't do that.
I really struggle with that. I know what our typical groceries are. I can pull it together based off what we have, but okay, I know for sure these 2 meals, but then the other few are going to be a free-for-all or leftovers. So we're still working it out. And it's so cute now also, Steph, because Elliot, we use the language, what's on the menu a lot in our house. So like, he'll say to me, like, Mommy, what's on the menu for lunchy? Because he gets lunch and dinner confused a lot. So like yesterday, we were driving home from school and he's going to go have lunch. And he goes, I want to go out for dinner. I'm like, I think you mean lunch.
That's so funny. Cute.
My little 3-year-old wants to go out because you know why? He wants French fries.
Yeah, of course he does.
But then we went to a restaurant. We were at Benihana.
You went to Benihana?
We went to Benihana the day before my birthday. So like in April.
Yeah.
I told you. I'll send you pictures and videos. I should have. Sorry. Because it was really cute when they were doing the onion volcano. We were there with my nephew. It's like the camera didn't know where to go because there were too many kids that, sorry guys, my brother has a son that's in between the ages of my boys. So like a little pack of dudes are growing up together. And, they don't serve French fries at Benihana. And he could not. I was like, baby, they don't have French fries at this restaurant. So now every time we go out to eat, which is like not that often, because it's just easier with an almost 3-year-old and almost 1-year-old to stay at home.
Yeah.
Mommy, it's a French fry restaurant. He's like now planning his menu. Anyway, what's the last thing you want to do around this is you want to create language and you want to crystallize it, just like the way you crystallize your dinner roll. So you want to actively start rewriting the narrative of failure, talking about how you're going to recover if you do make a mistake with a choice. And if you haven't listened to episode 317, where we talk about failing forward and making a plan for failure, it's just a couple weeks ago. And we'll go ahead and link that episode in the show notes to this episode, because that's a good complement to this. And you want to actively increase metacognition so that the learner gets to the point of like, oh, I'm making a decision. I have a hard time making a decision because of XYZ. And I'm just going to move forward even though I feel uncomfortable because of XYZ.
Yeah. And that's okay. That's okay. So I think just wrapping up all of this, decision making really is a huge executive functioning task, and it takes a lot of skill. Is important to note when you see your learner or yourself struggling with paralysis and not getting anything done. And it's looking like, the hated term of laziness or avoidance or anything like that. It's just about knowing that that is taking a lot of gas. And so how can we help have a more fuel efficient brain?
Completely. And I love the fact that you pointed out that decision-making paralysis can look like other things. Mm-hmm. And this is where we always come back to like our thesis statement, which is when it's easy, a learner will do it. Mm-hmm. They want to please the adults in their lives and get that positive feedback and reinforcement. When they're not doing something, we have to get curious about it. Because sometimes it can just be that decisions are really hard, and addressing that can be a huge relief for everyone and release the valve of the pressure valve.
For sure. I want to put in there, I just had a conversation yesterday with a longtime podcast listener who was talking about how her son was struggling with writing sentences. He's in first grade and writing sentences.
Sure.
And when we discussed it a little bit more, it really came down to he doesn't know what to write about. It's not that he can't do it per se. It's that he has to make the decision about what it's going to be about. And that is causing paralysis. Yes, there are other things going on, but that is also a huge part of, even for a little dude, thinking of what they want to talk about can be really hard. And that becomes the stopgap. So just know that it looks differently at different ages and for different people, but get curious because decision making is really hard.
It is. With that, have a great week, Smarties.
Have a great week.